All right, well, welcome. Haven't done a video for a long time, and I wanted to share with you guys about, power and how I related to it versus love or heart, and how that relates to the overarching collective consciousness and how our society is geared, really. So basically, I grew up with my grandparents, and for many reasons, I felt utterly powerless growing up. And it occurred to my little kid brain that the solution to it was to find my own power, to get power over the situation. And so I grew up always searching for power in different places, power over other people, power over, situations. It showed up in my career, it showed up in my relationships, my friendships, and it was something that was just there all the time that I didn't realize that I was constantly looking for power in social situations or what have you. And it wasn't until really recently that I uncovered this way deep down in my subconscious. I did some deep digging, some deep dives, and I came up with the solution, which was to drop out of that space, to realize that it wasn't really power in the first place that I was after, but it was love. And as soon as I really wrapped my head around that and dug that belief out and really let go of that whole situation, everyone involved in that paradigm, I was able to express myself naturally as the loving being that I am, right? And that vie for power just dissipated. And I saw the lunacy of it and how utterly dark and sort of malevolent it was. And at the same time, I understood. I made it up when I was 7 years old, So it didn't necessarily make that much sense. But that being said, looking for love in all the right places seems to fit the narrative of my life a lot better. And as I let that go, a whole new world started opening up. And I started thinking, it's funny, my life purpose has been up to this point to really see the dark side of life and get what's possible there, so I can really relate to other people as a healer, as someone that can dive into your life or anyone else's or what have you, and be able to really get where you're coming from. No matter what hole you've fallen into, I've been there. And extrapolating that to a bigger piece of the puzzle, right? You've got a society, many societies really, but let's just focus on America for a minute. We've been bred to believe in power over just about everything. And Jimi Hendrix quote comes to mind at this point: when the power of love overcomes the love of power, the world will know peace. And I truly believe that sentiment, especially after going through this little exploration, if you will, and seeing what inserting love into these spaces within my own consciousness, and again extrapolating to the collective. If we were to insert love in those places where systems and organizations and groups of people vied for love instead of vying for power, what it would open up, what new layers of our society would show themselves, so that we could experience a more loving society. It's funny because when I was letting this go and I was working on it, I was like, ugh, love, gross, I want to throw up in my mouth. You know, and this is after I've inserted love into all kinds of different places within me that used to be just darkness. And even then there was still a resistance, like, no, I want fucking power, baby. I want fucking power. You know, and it was nasty. So as a society, when we can start to take a look at what our real desires are and where they come from, there's so much conversation going on around power right now and the power structure, and how, you know, people like want things to change, but they don't seem to understand the mechanism of change. You know, you could say it's love, and that is definitely the foundational element. But the other thing that I think people are missing is action. You know, we live in a physical world. We have to take physical action to make change. But I digress. I think power versus love is a topic that will keep coming up over and over again the next 10, 20 years in our society, because it really is at the core of what we are dealing with here. And I think a lot of people who really believe in the system have bought into that power is more important than love on a subconscious level, right? If you were to ask them, they'd be like, no, love. But their own system, most of the time, because they were taught, it's not their fault, it's the structure that we live in, you know. And not all of them, of course, but I think it's a majority of people have been taught that power, strength, you know, that Reagan era, walk tall and carry a big stick, pervades our society and the thinking that's going on here. And that's okay. It'll take some time and a lot of direct action from a loving standpoint versus a power standpoint for people to get it. That real power comes through love. The real power comes from turning darkness into light. That's what real strength is. Just ask the earth. You know, if you look at our civilization, we've certainly come from much darker places and darker times, and we've transformed our human race into a more compassionate, more loving society over the generations and the hundreds and thousands of years we've been here. We've been escalating up into more light, and that is a very powerful thing. So anyways, just some thoughts, some shit that was on my mind. I figured you might get something out of it, where power and heart and love might show up in your life, and how you can possibly dig in and find out what you really think about all of it. Well, this has been fun. I will probably do some more videos soon, because they're fun. All right, well, I guess I'll talk to you soon. Maki out.